So this is another very interesting problem on the floor function, and it comes from the MIT 2023 Integration B qualifying exam, so test, problem 8. And it is the integral of 2023 sine x floor function from 0 all the way to 2 pi. Look like. So sine x straddles between -1 and 1. And therefore, if we multiply 2023 across, 2023 sine x would oscillate between negative 2023 to positive 2023. And this is how the plot looks like. So it begins from 0 at x is equal to 0. It hits maximum 2023 at pi over 2, and then 0 at pi, and down to negative 2023 at 3 pi over 2, and back to 0 at 2 pi. So a couple of things we'd want to remind ourselves. So a couple of things we'd want to remind ourselves is that a floor function of 0.5, for example, would yield 0, but a floor function of negative 0.5 would yield negative 1. And so you can begin looking around and testing different values, but essentially what that means is that the floor function of negative x is equals to the negative of floor function of x minus 1. And so since we have this oscillating function, I personally would approach it this way. So I would look at from 0 to pi over 2, we have sine x. And then from pi over 2 to pi, essentially that is sine pi over 2 plus x, which is cos x. So in that region, the function behaves like cos x in the first interval of 0 to pi over 2. And then from pi to 3 pi over 2, again, I do the same thing. It's pi plus x sine, which is the same as minus sine x. So we see that in that regime, the function really plays like the negative of sine x in the first interval. And then finally, from 3 pi over 2 to 2 pi, if you look at that function critically, it's the same as the negative of cosine x. So what this means is that the integral of 2023 sine x floor function is the same as the integral of 2023 sine x from 0 to pi over 2 plus the integral of 2023 cosine x from 0 to pi over 2 plus the integral of negative 2023 sine x from 0 to pi over 2 plus the integral of negative 2023 cosine x from 0 to pi over 2. Now, using the identity we had, the floor function of negative x is equals to negative of floor function of x minus 1, we can apply that here where we have a negative 2023 sine x, we'll say it's negative floor function 2023 sine x minus 1, and where we have floor function of negative 2023 cosine x, we'll say that is the same as negative 2023 floor function of negative floor function 2023 sine cosine x minus 1. And so we can collect like terms here. So this is the same as this floor function 2023 sine x minus the floor function sine x here. And again, floor function of 2023 cosine x minus floor function of 2023 cosine x. So these cancel out. So you have 0 here. And then we have the negative 1 here and negative 1 here. Eventually, we have the integral of negative 2 from 0 to pi over 2. And so when you do the mathematics there, you have negative 2x, and we have limits 0 to pi over 2. So that means that's negative 2 times pi over 2, because the lower limit, that is 0, and the answer is pi.